So every time we get a new client that is interested in marketing work, even not so much marketing work, but any sort of website business initiative or digital business initiative, we have something called the starter pack for them. And the starter pack has a lot of things in it, including checklists, templates, contracts, all sorts of stuff. And one of the things that's in there is the social media checklist. And we have checklists for Google Plus, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, you name it, we have checklists for it. And so basically what I wanted to do today is go through our Google Plus checklist. And this is just to get clients started. Whenever you get started with social media, there's a lot of hesitancy around it because there's just so much that you could be doing. It's overwhelming at first. And what we try to do is take that overwhelming factor out of it and just make it very cut and dry to get you started with the best practices and sort of align your business objectives with your social media objectives. So before our clients actually do anything in terms of even creating an account, we have them set their goals. And this is a crucial first step. Don't even think about skipping this. Because if you don't, you're never going to know if your social media initiatives are actually working. So the first question here in this checklist is, what is the most important thing to come out of this initiative? And that could be sort of a social media department, a better understanding of social media, increased page views, increased awareness. That is sort of like the purpose of this. So in this case, we're going to say an increase in page views from social media. Notice this isn't really a hard, fast goal. A smart goal would be something like to increase revenue by 10% by the end of Q2 2012 by focusing on social media. Now that's an actual goal. We're not there yet. We just want basically in a year from now or 6 months from now, what is gonna make it so when you look back on this first initiative that you said, oh yeah, that was successful. And so then sort of like a timeline, how quickly would you like that to happen? We'll say 3 months. And what will you use to measure if that happened? So basically an increase in page views from social media. How are we going to tell if we actually increased? And I'm gonna actually make this a little bit more specific. We'll say a 10% increase in page views from social media basically within 3 months. And we're going to use Google Analytics to measure referrals from, and actually I'm going to be a little bit more specific than social media, from Google Plus. Okay, so we have that part of it filled out right now. The next step is to plan your resources. Again, you don't want to skip this, and you definitely don't want to take this lightly either, because this is going to be able to tell us, Gunnar Technology, how to best structure your time and effort. So basically, the first question is, how many employees will be dedicated to Google Plus full time? So basically, it's their primary function. They don't have any other function. So we can go ahead, and 0 is a very valid answer here. How many employees will be dedicated to Google Plus part-time? That means sort of their added responsibility includes Google Plus, and we can say 2. And then how many contractors will be dedicated to Google Plus? This basically means, do you want Gunnar Technology to be managing your Google Plus page, or are we just going to be consulting you? If you have any outside contractors as well. So we'll say 2 here as well. How much budget would you like to dedicate to Google Plus each month? Now, this isn't really a trick question. We're not trying to figure out how much we can gouge you for in order to get our piece of the pie. We just really need to know what budget we're working with. We can get results with almost any size budget. What results those are, how quickly they come, how powerful they are, and how much ROI they provide, that is dependent on what the actual budget is. But we can't do anything without knowing what the budget is. So we're going to say that our monthly budget is $4,000 for Google Plus. Now, who is accountable for setting business goals for the Google initiative? So basically, as I mentioned before, the business goals would be increase in revenue, decrease in costs, those specific SMART goals that we talked about. So this would be, or be like Cliff Suit, whatever. Just making up names here. Who is accountable for making sure the Google Plus account is operated properly? This is just making sure, this is the person who's going to sort of like manage the Google, not hands-on necessarily, but this is who's accountable for making sure that the people who are assigned their tasks actually carry out those tasks. Who's accountable for operating the Google Plus account? These are the people who are actually hands-on, going to be in there, updating, posting original content, responding, things like that. Who is accountable for collecting and reporting the analytical data? This is basically the person who is going to be accountable for making sure the numbers make sense to whether or not we're meeting or not meeting our goal and our objectives. Who is accountable for creating the Google Plus schedule? The Google Plus schedule is basically an editorial calendar. And yes, it is very strict at first. 10 a.m. you should be updating Google Plus. 12 p.m. you should be asking a simple question on Google Plus. Very cut and dry editorial-like calendar. So who's going to create that? Who's going to be creating the Google Plus policy? And that basically just says that who's accountable for creating the Google Plus policy? That basically is the person who's going to set, what can we respond to, what you should do if someone gets threatening or is trolling you. Basically, what is the policy? What is the company's policy for interacting with Google Plus? That's going to be that role. Who's going to be accountable for enforcing the Google Plus policy? That's just basically saying once the policy is created, who's going to actually make sure that employees and contractors follow that policy. And basically, who is going to be accountable for making changes to the website to integrate Google Plus? There's going to be a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there's definitely going to be a little development work that needs to go into actually integrating the site for both ways, push and pull with Google Plus. So who's going to be accountable for doing that? And it's entirely possible that for small operations, you may be filling in a lot of the same names for the accountability or names. So that's basically what you need to do before you even start creating your account. Okay, so now we're going to actually take a look at setting up the account from the beginning. And you may already have a Google Plus account, and that's fine. You may even have a Google Plus brand page, and that's fine. This will just be a refresher as we go through sort of the best practices for creating a profile and a brand page. Just to delineate the differences really quick, a profile is sort of your personal Google Plus page. All your employees, for example, may have a Google Plus profile, but your company will have a Google Plus brand page, and your employees will log into that, will be given access to manage that brand page via their profiles. And this will make a lot more sense as we get into it.